That's Keon Coleman on Khalil Shakir. Will he take a step forward? Jeremy and Joe, a few minutes here with NFL analyst Benjamin Solak of ESPN, who popped in for a quick visit. I know you're going to go talk to Joe Brady, so we won't keep you too long. Good to see you again.
Thanks, fellas. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago I was out here.
Yeah.
Same seat, same desk.
Yeah.
Easy to find you guys.
Same seat, same desk, and
Find the pavilion.
and same storyline. Hey, can the Bills find that little extra bit to get the job done? I mean, it's a lot of great years around here and a lot of what's the one thing that's been missing.
Yeah, it's there was a great stat in the FTN Almanac this year that previewed the season. On a 5-year stretch, if you look at the best teams to ever not make a Super Bowl by DVOA. DVOA is a catch-all metric. It's just era-adjusted team efficiency. How good are you for your time relative to your competitors? 5-year stretch for a team that never made the Super Bowl. The best team in NFL history by DVOA is the 2020 to 2024 Buffalo Bills, right?
Yeah.
Second is the 2020 to 2024 Ravens, right? Because there's this guy on top of the conference right now who's not letting anybody through, right? He wears 15 red and white and plays in Kansas City. And so can they find a little bit more? Absolutely. That's going to continue to be the thought, the urgency. Even if they had made one of the 5 Super Bowls, if they had made 2 and won one of them and lost one of them, they'd still be sitting down every single year in May and June and July and saying, all right, here's what the Chiefs do, here's what the Ravens do. How are we going to get an inch ahead of these guys? Because the margins are so thin between those teams. Obviously, the way the coin flips have fallen, it's been all Kansas City. It's been historically all Kansas City. But for as frustrating as it is, I promise you that the guys over there in Kansas City are also sitting there going, okay, how are we going to stay ahead of these Bills? How are we going to stay ahead of 17? How are we going to deal with this team? The margins are that thin. It just has not come up Buffalo yet.
How much ground do you feel like they could have made up this offseason with the moves they've made? And I don't know how different they'll look on both sides of the ball. I think defensively the personnel is certainly different.
Yep.
Offensively, it's mostly Palmer and Moore. And maybe offensively they try to look similar to what they did last year.
Yeah, I think that when they made the Von Miller bet a few years ago, the idea was, okay, one ringer, pass rusher, he's going to dominate for us in the playoffs. Like, this is going to be the difference-making guy. And that's a lot of chips on one dude. And obviously the name was Von Miller, and that's a dude that you know, like, from a talent perspective, you want to be that ringer guy, but it's still one bet. You miss that bet, you're back exactly where you were. The approach this year is the shotgun approach, right? Not the sniper rifle, but the shotgun. We're going to get Joey in the building. We're going to get Larry in the building. We're going to get Michael in the building. We're going to draft the guy. We are going to have dudes on dudes on dudes. And hopefully by the time we get to January, we have collectively, right, Moneyball in the aggregate, built enough of that elite pass rush, of that game-winning player. Because when we talk about January football, we talk about elite game-winning players. And Buffalo's issue on defense has always been that because of what Sean does schematically, defensively, they punch above their weight for the regular season. They get so much out of, good players, quality players, but more so like your B-tier players, your solid starters. And then they get to a point where they have to play 3 playoff offenses in a row, and they just, at some point, they get outgunned, right? They just get out-muscled by these teams that have built around superstars. So the hope is that in the aggregate, right, whether it's a healthy Joey Bosa or a step forward from Gregory Rousseau or a fresh Michael Holt or whatever it is, that you get that pass rusher that you need. You get that depth on the defensive line you need to really dominate up front. So have they done enough? Ask me in November. I'll let you know when we get there.
Yeah. Bills fans sometimes get to that game against Kansas City and feel like they're outgunned. A lot of Bills fans feel like they're maybe outmatched. Like McDermott won't have the answers against Andy Reid. Do you think he would have them if, in fact, those pieces are the right pieces?
Yeah. I would say that if we could emphatically point to a defensive coordinator who has had the answers against Andy Reid and against Patrick Mahomes over their time together, then I would fault McDermott a little bit more, right? There was that moment we thought it was going to be the Bengals and Lou Anarumo because they were playing so well against elite quarterbacks, and then that fell apart for the Bengals, right? They weren't able to sustain that. So there's really been no coordinator, no defensive system, no stylistic approach that I can point to and say, okay, this always takes the Chiefs from a 30-point team to a 23-point team. We got to do it this way. It just hasn't been there. They're just too stinking good. And so it's hard to fault McDermott too far because I'm not sure the solution, right, that, this is how you respond to this quarterback, how you respond to this team. I'm not sure that solution exists. With that said, man, you know what the money's for? You know what the check is for? The check is for beating that guy, the guy in the conference, right? It ain't a question mark what the money is for here in Buffalo. You got to beat the Chiefs. You got to beat 15. Sean McDermott is a defensive coach. He's been here for, 8 seasons now? Like, at some point win, And so it's tough to fault him too far. But, yeah, that you got to beat the guys. And I trust he's losing sleep over it. But eventually at some point, you got to come up with a solution or someone's going to move on.
That's the thing, too, is I'll ask you in November, they have been very good defensively in the regular season, and I think because they've done that And I think the stat is against the Chiefs in the playoffs, Kansas City's averaged 34 against the Bills and 24 against everybody else, or it's something like that. That might only be the last 4 years, by the way, not all 5. But they could be looking really good in the regular season, and there's just this talking point about McDermott that is somewhat based in fact that his defense will regress when it gets to the postseason.
Yep.
Is that, though, to you just a Chiefs-specific thing? Like when they go and play the Ravens, they go and play when they get the Denvers of the world in the wild card round. Do you feel like it's a McDermott thing, or is it more of a Chiefs thing?
So, yeah, Denver doesn't count. Throw that out.
Yeah.
Bo Nix was never going to beat anybody in the postseason, right? That offense was scraping it together with a lot of Sean Payton machinations, and they were going to run into a playoff team, and they were going to implode a little bit. It's more of a McDermott thing than the Chiefs thing, and it's the nature of the defense that they play. If you look at Steve Spagnuolo for the Chiefs, Steve Spagnuolo is inherently a very matchup-oriented, game plan-oriented. I'm trying to get you to these third and long downs where I can design up these blitzes. They're going to win for me in these key moments, right? 4th and 5, we got 2 free rushers off the strong side, right? Like he is. The whole point is to get you to those spots where he knows what your tendencies are going to be, and then he's going to be able to exploit them. Sean rushes 4. Drop 7 and wants to out-effort you. He wants to out-team you. He wants to compete and hustle and tackle you. And Sean does not pitch a lot of change-ups and cutters and those swing and miss pitches, right? Those big moment pitches, go and get the strikeouts. This is a fundamentals, I want to say bend but don't break, but they were really bad on third down last year, so it didn't end up being that way at all. But hopefully a bend but don't break defense that over time just sits on you for long enough, forces enough 3s instead of 7s, forces a couple punts, and then our offense is going to win for us by being effective on the other side. It is a simple defense on a chalkboard, and that defense looks really good against bad quarterbacks, bad offensive coordinators, and teams that you have outgunned, teams who don't have the wide receiver talent or the running back talent or the offensive line talent. Then you get to January football. And the longer and longer I do this, the more emphatically I believe that January football is just so different than September to December football. And if you're not building and optimizing for January football, you're going to look real good, and then you're going to get to the postseason, and someone's going to punch you in the mouth, and you don't know how that feels. And I think over time, you can say for Buffalo pretty emphatically that the way that Sean likes to play defense, where I think Christian Benford, right, Greg Rousseau, Ed Oliver, these are good players. Are they stars at their positions? Not necessarily. And so they look great for the regular season. They get to January football, and then you start to feel a little bit, out weight class when you play against those playoff offenses.
Benjamin Solak of ESPN. On the offensive side, just really quickly, do they have the horses there? They last year went to the everybody eats mindset. They were doing it without a number 1. They make the trade for Cooper. This year, a couple guys leave, and it's Josh Palmer and Elijah Moore. They're really the only different things with this offense. Pretty much everybody else returns.
Yep.
Is it going to look any different?
Is 17 still the quarterback?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, they got the horses. They'll be all right. I mean, it's as simple as if he continues to play the way he did last year, being able to ramp the turnovers down, being willing to be a little bit more in the structure of the offense. Oh yeah. Like you're as long as you have functional play at wide receiver, functional play at running back, and functional play at tight end, like not limiting factors, you're going to be fine. The other thing is that offensive line, right? Which over the last 2 seasons has been the most contiguous offensive line, right? They're not missing snaps. These guys are playing together for thousands of snaps over the last 2 years. That continuity allows them to be so good in the running game, so good on 3rd and 4th down, right? So good in those key moments. So Josh, the offensive line, Brady, I believe in it. And if you get more out of you expect than Josh Palmer and Elijah Moore, step forward from Dalton Kincaid, great. But as long as 17's the guy, they have what it takes to be a Super Bowl caliber offense. I believe that.
Benjamin Solak, ESPN. We'll let you run. We know you've got stuff
Appreciate
to do,
it, fellas.
so we'll get you out of here. Thanks for stopping by, and continued, good luck on the journey
Yep.
around the rest of the camps.
Take care.
All right, Benjamin Solak, ESPN NFL analyst.